Dongguan Bus Company Limited, the biggest public transport operator in the city, is suing the supplier Zhongqing Hongyuan for 431 million RMB in damages. Back in 2018, they bought 672 all-electric buses that were supposed to have an 8-year battery warranty. Yet just 3 years later, starting in 2021, a huge number of them began failing because of battery problems and had to be taken off the roads. The Daily Economic News reports that MicroMacro supplied the lithium manganese oxide batteries used in the buses. One industry observer pointed out that in the early years of the electric bus market, certain manufacturers prioritized rapid market share growth over quality. They opted for inexpensive, lower-spec batteries and failed to conduct adequate high-temperature testing, resulting in repeated safety incidents. In November, another incident occurred in Foshan, Guangdong.
An electric bus caught fire while being towed for repairs after battery failure. By 10:30 a.m., the fire had been put out and traffic slowly resumed without injuries.
Self-igniting electric buses have become a common issue in China in recent years.
In Guizhou, at the Huaxi Luoping bus station, an electric bus caught fire during the night.
来，先看看视频。
Watch this video. An electric bus caught fire. Fortunately, the flames went downward. If they had gone upward, the bus might have launched like a rocket. People often talk about electric vehicles being energy efficient and environmentally friendly, but look at this. This fire probably released more toxic fumes than a gasoline car's exhaust. I'm not saying all electric cars catch fire, but their batteries are fragile. They can't be bumped, scratched, or exposed to extreme temperatures. If this fire had happened with people inside, it could have been catastrophic. Some argue that I'm too harsh on domestic electric cars, but I see them as a transitional product. Many technical issues remain. What bothers me most are car makers and executives who boast endlessly about electric cars while belittling gasoline cars. They claim electric cars will replace gasoline cars in a few years, and that gasoline cars are already outdated. Sure, you might not be able to build an engine or transmission, but why focus solely on electric cars? When Chinese-made electric cars can handle bumps without catching fire, maintain a charge in cold temperatures, charge quickly, and travel long distances without issues, then we could talk about replacing gasoline cars. Until then, they're not even close. Only when the military starts using electric vehicles will I consider them truly ahead of the game. Electric buses face not only fire risks, but also problems with charging and range.
冬天了，这个锰酸锂电池老坑人了，你看输出的。
In winter, lithium manganese batteries often fail. For example, I spent 13 RMB to charge my bus for an hour and 15 minutes, but only received 15 kilowatt hours. Meanwhile, lithium iron phosphate batteries can deliver 17 kilowatt hours in just 25 minutes for the same price. In Inner Mongolia, low winter temperatures cause some electric buses to fail to meet the required range, prompting the company to temporarily rely on 2 gasoline-powered buses. While cold temperatures are expected, it's frustrating when some buses simply stop halfway, even under normal conditions. Here's another absurd incident. We were riding an electric bus up a hill when it suddenly stopped and wouldn't move. We all had to get off to reduce the weight and help the bus get up the hill. This situation was truly bizarre. I've never experienced anything like it before. I'm not sure what brand the bus is, but it looked like a Higer bus. If anyone knows about this brand, let me know. I guess that the battery ran out, which is why the motor couldn't deliver enough torque. But honestly, the area, Anya, is quite beautiful, and the Yan Mountains are stunning. It felt like a short hike. The gas-powered bus went up with ease, while the electric one just stopped. I guess this is why F1 cars need to reduce weight. It really makes a difference. So, if you're planning to travel to the mountains, avoid electric buses. Some electric buses are just too fragile. A minor bump could cause them to catch fire. In Harbin, a new energy bus suddenly caught fire while driving. Firefighters quickly responded to extinguish the flames. Investigations revealed that the fire started when the bus hit a manhole cover, which lodged into the vehicle's battery pack, causing a short circuit. These electric buses are equipped with battery packs ranging from 250 to 350 kilowatt hours, which is 3 to 5 times larger than the 50 to 100 kilowatt hours found in most passenger electric vehicles. The greater the energy density, the more rapidly a fire can spread. Once temperatures rise significantly, the flames become far more difficult to extinguish, often resulting in severe incidents. Buses face intense daily use. They typically operate 16 to 20 hours per day, experiencing hundreds of starts and stops along with repeated climbing, acceleration, and braking. When power runs low, they rely on frequent high-power DC fast charging, while air conditioning operates continuously in both summer and winter. This demanding duty cycle causes bus batteries to degrade much faster than those in passenger vehicles. The constant high energy demands generate excessive heat, forcing the battery management system to operate at elevated levels and raising the risk of failure. To counter these challenges, bus battery systems require greater safety redundancy, effective thermal runaway isolation, and advanced heat dissipation designs. Without such measures, the likelihood of fire increases substantially. Under normal conditions, batteries in vehicles with such heavy workloads should meet the highest safety standards. In China, however, battery degradation has been significantly worse than anticipated, and some manufacturers have failed to honor their advertised 8-year warranties. Recently, a netizen from Anyi reported that his company's 20 new energy buses, purchased from Zhongtong Bus, have been plagued with problems. The batteries often fail to charge, and within a year, all 20 buses had to replace their air pumps. The buses frequently break down, so the company had to buy a truck just to tow them. The contract promised an 8-year warranty on the main electric system, but Zhongtong Bus had since stopped providing warranty service. To resolve these problems and return the buses to service, repairs are required. However, the operating company cannot absorb the substantial revenue losses from downtime or the added repair costs. The manufacturer has refused to cover the expenses, and replacing the batteries remain prohibitively expensive.
报告大帅，崩了！电动公交被打回燃油时代。
In Baoding, electric buses have been pushed back to the days of fuel-powered vehicles, with 591 buses out of service. Replacing the batteries would cost around 100 million RMB. The so-called green buses, once praised for their environmental benefit, are now sidelined by battery issues. In Hebei's Baoding, over 1,000 electric buses are parked, and the bus company has even bought retired fuel buses back into service. It's not that they don't want to be environmentally friendly. The reality is they can't afford to replace the batteries. This isn't a simple battery replacement, it's a costly endeavor. The batteries in these electric buses are only 5 years old, but each replacement costs 170,000 RMB. With 591 buses needing replacement, the total cost reaches nearly 100 million RMB. The bus company has been struggling with over 66 million RMB in losses and can barely keep operations running. They simply don't have the funds for battery replacements. Netizens have pointed out how heartbreaking it is. After 3 years of fuel savings, the money doesn't even cover the cost of replacing the batteries. Even worse, finding replacement batteries isn't easy. Over 80 battery manufacturers have gone out of business, and many older models of batteries are no longer available. Even with money, the right batteries might not be found, leaving buses sitting idle. In northern cities like Harbin, where temperatures drop to negative 25 degrees Celsius, the range of electric buses have been cut from 300 kilometers to just 180 kilometers. During peak hours, it could take 2 hours to charge, reducing bus capacity by 15%. Gas-powered buses are now more reliable since they can refuel and go. The vlogger emphasized that Baoding is far from an isolated case. Cities including Tianjin, Lanzhou have experienced similar waves of electric bus shutdowns. In several regions, buses have been pulled from service because of severe battery degradation, forcing operators to temporarily switch back to diesel-powered vehicles. The core problem remains clear. Each electric bus costs 1.6 million RMB, more than twice the price of a conventional fuel-powered bus. Over its full life cycle, an electric bus is 28% more expensive to operate. With government subsidies now gone, transit companies are struggling under the financial burden. Drivers face additional hardship, unable to use air conditioning in summer or heating in winter. During traffic congestion, they watch the remaining range with growing anxiety, worry the bus will lose power and strand passengers mid-route.
大家好，我是大鹏。
After problems in Shanzhou, Henan, and Baoding in Hebei, electric buses in Huangshi, Hubei are also facing issues. A local private bus company with over 140 electric buses has had half of them out of service. The buses, purchased in 2015, began experiencing battery failures within the second year. Initially, a full charge would last over 7 or 8 trips, but now it barely lasts 3 or 4, and some buses break down midway. Recently, the private bus company started replacing the batteries in some of the faulty buses. Replacing a single bus's battery costs between 200,000 and 300,000 RMB just for the batteries. The Baoding Bus Company also replaced some batteries, but many of the buses still experience frequent thermal runaway issues. After replacement, these buses were no longer usable and are now waiting to be scrapped. The root of these problems date back to 2012. That year, China launched its National New Energy Vehicle Plan, declaring new energy vehicles a strategic pillar industry for the nation. In China, public transportation has long been state-operated, and the push for new energy vehicles has been most visible in the bus sector. From 2015 to 2020, China offered the world's largest subsidies for electric buses. Each bus received 300,000 to 500,000 RMB from the central government, while local governments contributed an additional 200 to 300,000 RMB. Altogether, these subsidies covered more than half the purchase price. Many cities depended on this funding to replace their fleets and were required by regulation to meet minimum quotas for new energy buses. As a result, electric bus adoption surged nationwide. Numerous cities branded themselves as 100% electric bus cities, or boasted the world's largest all-electric fleets, turning these achievements into key symbols of municipal progress. In 2017, Shenzhen became the first city to fully electrify its entire bus fleet, deploying 16,000 electric buses. Under the subsidy framework then in place, the central government provided 350,000 to 500,000 RMB per vehicle, matched by 200,000 to 300,000 RMB from local authorities, for a total of 550,000 to 800,000 RMB per bus. Public audit reports from Shenzhen show that between 2015 and 2018, the city received over 20 billion RMB in new energy vehicle subsidies. Yet even with these generous subsidies, electric buses continue to encounter persistent problems, of which battery degradation is only one. In Shenzhen, a new bus purchased from Xiamen Qinglong struggled to climb a small hill. Netizens explain, the manufacturer used in-wheel motors to cut costs, but the wheels lack enough traction. An electric bus in the city suddenly lost control when it started at a green light. Thankfully, it wasn't rush hour, and the large banyan tree nearby absorbed the impact. The window glass shattered immediately, going into a self-destruct mode. Many of these buses, acquired for active service, have been plagued by persistent problems. In some cities, vehicles were purchased only to remain parked and unused. The Shaanxi Provincial Audit Office criticized Xi'an's public transport system for leaving more than 30% of its new energy buses idle despite extensive fleet acquisitions. In one city, 20 buses were purchased for nearly 10 million RMB, but they quickly became zombie buses. These buses sat idle for 6 months, and the local authorities even hired drivers, though none were able to start work. The most absurd part is that the authorities claim they don't know why. Zhang, a bus operator in Xinmi, Henan, revealed that his buses had to be grounded due to overdue subsidy payments. When he went to collect the subsidies from the previous year, he saw these idle buses. He suspected the buses were purchased using the subsidies that were owed to him. However, the local traffic bureau denied this, stating the buses were bought with state bonds and installments due to a lack of funds. Despite the purchase, the buses haven't been used for over 6 months. To make matters worse, the authorities opted to buy buses from Suzhou instead of local Zhenzhou manufacturers, raising further suspicions. Even more frustrating, the authorities have yet to return the security deposits paid by the bus drivers. He said there are about 60 vehicle owners, each having paid a security deposit of 5,000 RMB and a service quality deposit of 1,000 RMB. These funds are still unaccounted for and cannot be refunded. The local authorities in Xinmi have initiated an investigation into the matter. In many cities, the more buses local governments purchase, the more manufacturers are willing to reduce prices. This enables authorities to claim higher subsidy amounts, inflate local GDP figures, and improve officials' performance evaluations. The result has been a damaging cycle driven by new energy vehicle subsidies, one that prioritizes sheer volume over genuine quality. Both manufacturers and local governments focus on meeting numerical targets rather than delivering reliable buses. To capture maximum subsidies, manufacturers accelerate production schedules and cut corners, often shortening critical testing phases. Many electric bus models are developed in under a year and enter service within 6 months. Cutting costs has also fragmented the battery supply chain, allowing smaller, less capable producers to enter the market, leading to inconsistent component quality. As a result, failure rates remain high, particularly in components, wiring harnesses, and battery management systems. Local governments, drawn by the prospect of substantial subsidies, seldom assess whether the buses are truly suited to local climate or terrain. The overriding goal is to secure funding, which has encouraged hasty and poorly considered purchases. Ultimately, the subsidy framework has served as a political instrument tied to government performance goals. Financial pressures on local authorities have become intertwined with the interests of bus operators and manufacturers. Fostering widespread fraud, subsidy misuse, and inflated production figures have fueled systemic corruption. China's new energy vehicle subsidy system originally paid fixed amounts for each vehicle purchased and each kilometer driven. Weak oversight, however, made data easy to manipulate and created widespread opportunities for fraud. To obtain larger payments, local governments routinely inflated the number of buses in service, invented routes, and fabricated mileage records. In many instances, vehicles were registered solely to claim subsidies but never entered operation. Chinese media have reported that companies such as Suzhou General Motors registered far more vehicles than they actually built. Some buses received subsidies before they were even manufactured. In one documented case, a single company submitted 2,905 conformity certificates in 1 month. Roughly 1/3 were falsified, generating more than 100 million RMB in improper payments. Other firms overstated vehicle performance or installed underspec batteries, while some delivered buses with no battery packs at all. Despite these violations, central and local governments continue to release funds. Such practices are not isolated, but reflect a nationwide pattern of subsidy fraud. What began as a heavily promoted political campaign to demonstrate China's global leadership in green technology has instead exposed deep structural flaws. The subsidy-fueled approach has bred systemic corruption and inflated economic bubbles, revealing weaknesses that extend far beyond the new energy vehicle sector alone.